Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, which most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people will not feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. Marianne Williamson. I'd like to say hello and welcome. My name is Michelle Kelly. This is Being the Change. I got this started in 2019, recording myself every week for an entire year, stating out loud how I was breaking up with fear, I was breaking up with shame, and I was breaking up with guilt, and giving you a weekly video telling you how fear, shame, and guilt wasn't breaking up with me. And the only reason I was able to get started is because my son Angelo told me I wasn't good enough to have haters. And I'm starting to have haters, and it's such a compliment, by the way. And then 2020 was to be kinder and more compassionate to myself and others, which I'm still working on. 2021 was to break up with processed sugar, which I am a little over 10 months of sugar, flour, wheat, and caffeine free, which doesn't suck, by the way. 2022 was to attach an income to what it is I do. And I told you guys I got a W-2 form for my song, Hey Cole Swindell, So Worth the Whiskey. And I didn't see any money from it. However, I had to pay taxes on it, and it paid for keeping my song on iTunes and Spotify. So if you get a chance, check it out. And then for 2023, it was not to weigh myself every single day. And I told you guys last week, I put the scale away. And not only did I put it away, I took the batteries out. So that was my major thing. So I was working on weighing myself every other day. And now I am not weighing myself at all, and learning that the scale and the number is not going to dictate how I feel about myself. But I was only able to do that when it was recommended by somebody who is actually doing what I'm doing, which is addressing my food addiction. And it is the last addiction of mine that I know of that I've been able to address. So it started with alcohol and drugs at the age of 18. Cigarettes, I was able to quit cigarettes when I was around 10 years sober. And then I have been able to address workaholism and codependency, but not until, 29, 30-ish years of sobriety before I was able to address codependency and workaholism. And in 2022, last year, I was able to address my food addiction. So this has been a long journey of addressing addiction after addiction after addiction. And, I'm coming back into my body, which is a place that I lived outside of and didn't know it. And, one of the things I want to tell you guys about how I'm coming back into my body, I feel like there's two kinds of people, and either you remember every single thing that happens to you, or you're the opposite. You don't remember anything. I was the person who didn't remember anything. I buried my head in the sand. I didn't know I did this, by the way, or that this was happening when it was happening. But what I learned how to do is how to pretend like things aren't happening. I can't see you. I can't hear you. It's not happening. And that was my denial. And that's what protected me. And that's what kept me safe. And there were other people who remembered every single thing. And that is a protection in itself, that you're guarding and protecting yourself all the time to keep yourself safe. And I learned to hide to keep myself safe. And so over my life, I've been able to address all these addictions. And let me tell you, it is not easy. It is a hard journey. I have felt alone in this a lot of the time. I have felt like I was the only one working on the stuff that I'm working on. And I kept going out into the real world feeling like there's something wrong with me and I'm defective and I'm different and why can't I be normal like everybody else? And I realized, first of all, there is no such thing as normal, but most people are living in active addictions and numbing themselves out to stay safe, which is what I used to do. I have lost every single way. I don't want to say lost. I didn't lose it. I feel like God has chosen me to get rid of these addictions and to help other people get through them too. Because if I can do it, you can do it. Most of them I didn't even know that I had. Other people noticed that I had them before I noticed I had them. And I think for a lot of people, we can see what everybody else is doing wrong and not take a look at ourselves. And that is the hardest thing to do, by the way, is to look at yourself and say, I need help, or this is becoming a problem for me. But my problems were getting so obvious to me that I had to go and get help. And I was pissed. A lot of times before I got help, I was so mad and I didn't want to be there. And then I showed up anyway. I wanted you to like me, I wanted you to love me, and I wanted you to accept me, except for I think I had an attitude of, how are you going to help me? What can you do for me? And it kept people away from me. And I thought I was open to love, and I wasn't. And this process of being open to love has taken me a really long time. And so I was talking last week how I hear God speak to me, and that it's in my depression records. She hears God speak to her, and I do. I hear God speak to me all the time. And God speaks to me through people. And I can hear God speaking to me. And sometimes I can hear where people are and where they're not. And one of the things I've been given is the gift of grace. And part of the gift of grace is I used to be there too. And if somebody didn't think I was worth it, I wouldn't know better either. So I've been given the gift of grace, and I am learning to know better. I am now living in my body, which it started with this car accident in 2019 when I could not ignore it anymore. My body was screaming to me out loud. And now, because I've lost every buffer, the drinking, the drugs, the workaholism, the codependency, the cigarettes, and now the food, I feel everything all the time, and I can no longer ignore things. And I've been in bed for the past 3 days. I went to the doctor they upped my antidepressant. They doubled it. So I'm on 150 milligrams of the Effixor now. And I started that on Sunday, maybe Saturday. I think I started on Saturday. And then Monday, I was able to clean my house. Sunday and Monday, I was able to clean my house. And Monday night, my throat started to hurt. I took a COVID test, no COVID. But I've been so tired, had a headache, getting a cold. I think I have like the flu. And I've been exhausted. And every time I get up, I just want to go back to bed. And the only reason I have my makeup done and look halfway presentable is because I have to go to the grocery store. But I feel everything all the time, and I am now able to take care of myself when I don't feel good. And before, I used to think I just had to suck it up, pretend like it wasn't happening, and keep going. And I'm learning not to pretend like things aren't happening anymore, but it feels like I'm sick all the time and I don't feel good all the time, which is not true, but it feels true. It feels like I've been sick a lot instead of I'm just acknowledging things that I never used to acknowledge. And it feels like a lot because I've never done this before. And not only have I not been able to take care of myself, I never told people when I didn't feel good. I would just put on a smile, pretend like I'm good, everything's good. I would never cancel on you. I would wait for you to cancel on me. And I keep learning what other people think of me is none of my business. And I can't control what people think of me. And I spent a lot of my life thinking I could and trying to. So I just want to tell you guys one big thing. So I told you last week about the job, private contractor for sink recovery, which I'm so excited for. And they sent me a form and I have to send it back and I have to ask for money, which is the hardest thing because they didn't tell me an amount. So I am going to send back what is the highest amount that you're willing to offer. So I will let you guys know how that goes, because before I would call somebody else who did it and somebody else and beat around the bush instead of going straight to the source. So I'm learning to go straight to the source instead of beat around and ask everybody else and say, how much are you willing? How much are you willing to pay for this? So stay tuned, stay safe. This is your signing off, and I will see you guys all next week.